Woo! Here it is. Friday the 30th. I want to say the 13th, but because I 13 is my favorite number. We're going to talk about vaccine hesitancies today. Gesundheit. Both here and abroad. I mean, even we've got the volume turned up. That's great. Woo! It's going to be a good day. Lisa said it's going to be a good day. She said, Harmony said a good week. Yeah. Lisa's a good day.
Yes.
Great year.
Craig's like, he's chilling. It's going to be warm outside.
Yep.
Martha May's got like,
wedding fever. No.
There you go.
Not mine. Not mine.
Move your mic up a little bit more, though. Pull that. There you go. Perfect. We're going to talk about boats, big cruise boats today. We're going to talk about a woman charged a felony for an old VHS rental tape. You guys, any rental tape? What is it? Rental tape?
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster. That is interesting. And then there's a victory in anti-smoking. And then there's Idaho. We're going to talk about critical race theory, indoctrination at public schools. I'm kind of frankly a little bit surprised at how many people don't know about critical race theory, and raise my hand, I'm one of them. Like, critical race theory is something that we should all be paying attention to. I've read a couple of books on it now. By no means does that mean I'm an expert, but I've been, like, in the last few months really digging into this, and it's pretty wow. So I'm glad that they're noticing some of this stuff in public schools and the teaching of it. So, but hey, if you haven't done so yet, we need you to hammer the like button. We need you to hammer the share button. It really helps us if we get those shares and likes and comments. We're going to talk about comments at the end of the show. I can't say after, it's during the show, but it's at the end of it. So please send in a comment. We're not going to call you out like live on the air, like Harmony sent in this message. We're not going to do that.
Well, I would say use my name, but that's me.
Exactly. But I've been getting some texts occasionally. You guys know this. And they're like, well, we don't want you to use our name. So anyway, we won't use your name. But thanks for the comments in advance. We really do appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing from you. So should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Oh, it's going to be another heavy day. Heavy day.
Heavy hitters.
Let's do vaccines because this is on everybody's mind. Vaccine hesitancy. This is an article that's found right here at kttc.com in our local area. And pharmacies notice shorter lines as fewer people in Med City, which they call Rochester, Minnesota, sign up for getting their shots. So I brought this article up because I travel all the time and I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people of different backgrounds and races and jobs and all these things. And I'm privileged to do that. But this is a hot topic, and there's a lot of people that are super hesitant out in the real world. So that's why I brought this up. But what I wanted to do also is, in a minute, we're going to bring in a story from Greece, I think it is what we're going to look at too, because they're also hesitant. So more than 2.3 million Minnesotans have received at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccine, which is 52% of the eligible population. However, with variants of the virus still spreading around the state and vaccine hesitancy, there is cause for concern. Here in Rochester, we spoke with a pharmacist about whether they are seeing fewer people eager to roll up their sleeves. We've seen a tremendous slowdown, which is disheartening and unfortunate, said Sandy Hunt, volunteer at Rochester Community Pharmacy. We could keep going on, but let's do a shout out to Jackie, our guard dog. Yeah. Going to get a new guard dog pretty soon too. We're going to have some pictures up tomorrow, of the new dog. We still got to pick out a name. So going to be the mascot for us. But Jackie's hanging out. Where are you, Jackie? She can be on camera today. She sometimes sits on the couch, right? It's on camera, so she'll be more famous than all of us.
Yeah.
Watching her sex.
Hopefully. To my left, Craig is here. Craig
Ugland. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram.
Martha May's hanging out.
Martha Makashadi on Facebook.
And Harmony
Sage. You can find me right here.
Right here
because I still got that ban from Facebook. Unless you want to visit me and send me a little chat. I am new to this world with Snapchat. So Harmony Lynn Sage, you can find me there. Give a shout out. And by the way, if we're out in public and you see me, don't be a creep and like look like a kidnapper from a van and come over and say hi. Do you guys get that a lot where somebody's just staring at you?
So
like
what
they
you're
know
saying
you?
is just kidnap me. Don't look
Don't-
like you're going to.
If you're offering candy, I might consider it. I don't know. I do have a sweet tooth.
Lisa.
Too funny. Lisa Lingle. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm out there.
And humbly, you can find me everywhere. That's humble, right? Find me in
Yeah.
Minds and Parlor and Gab and all of them at Matt Logan Speaks. And of course, right here on Facebook and YouTube once a week for sure. And, actually, I've been getting a lot of messages. I've been very humbled seriously by it. I really appreciate the people that watch and listen. And, the last couple of months, a lot of people are like, more. It's like, I've got a job.
That's good.
It's like,
It's better than saying less.
You gotta
less.
pay the
Right,
bills,
exactly.
Pay the bills, pay the bills
so
somehow, right?
I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I get that. I'm not every's cup of tea, but I try
You
to.
might be somebody's shot of whiskey. Though.
That's true. Good point.
Ooh.
Yes. I just try to shoot it straight like I see it. I've said this before, as a basketball official, and you call it like you see it. Might not be right every time for sure, but just try to call it like I see it. So back to vaccine hesitancy. Athens, Greece. The Greece prime minister has issued an appeal for elderly Greeks to get vaccinated, blaming hesitancy for persistently high rates of death and hospitalization. The Greek vaccination program has remained roughly in line with the European Union average, but deaths are higher and the number of COVID-19 patients requiring intensive care unit treatment is at its highest level since the start of the pandemic. Health experts say Greeks over the age of 80 and below 70 are failing to make or skipping vaccination appointments in significantly larger numbers than those in the 75 to 79 range. Now, I'm sorry, my contacts clearly are not working very well. I blink and my contacts are rotating. I can hardly read it. So I apologize for that, y'all. So there, you don't have to comment on that particular part of it. Matt, you need to learn how to read. Let me show you this. Let's see. I think we have it here. Just 1 second. We'll put this up on the screen for you to see if we can get to it. So, okay, let's put this up on the screen. Yeah. So Sarah Silverman, she's a famous actress and comedian. I think this is part of the problem here, why there's some vaccine hesitancy, right? 29% of the U.S. population is what USP stands for, is fully vaxxed. 43% have had the first dose. There are tons of vaccines available, but the rest of y'all are not stepping up. Come on. You tried cocaine. You eat circus peanuts. Get vaxxed, you ridiculous blank. You can see it on screen. I'm not going to say it. And let's get back to normal. I got shows to do. I've had enough of this BS, quite frankly. This is exactly the problem that we have and the division that is going on and why people are hesitant to take vaccinations, in my opinion. This is garbage.
Don't shame people to do something.
Never.
Shot shaming, they call it. Shot shaming. I don't know. I just made it up. It sounds good.
I can believe
Everybody's saying it
that.
now.
I can believe that.
Shot shaming. It's crazy.
I got shot shamed by my stepmom last week. And it's like, you did it. That's great. My wife's done it for work. That's great. I don't know. It's so new to me. And yes, the science says everybody should take it, but the
What
science is changing.
Don't just say
every
that.
week.
What science?
The CDC and WHO and all them, but they're changing their tune every week or every other week. So if they can't be consistent on what they're trying to tell us, how do we? I don't know.
And the way I look at it is I've tried cocaine and circus peanuts and I've had the first and I've
So
had
did she
So my
tweet
whole-
that to you?
I do
Oh my
love.
God.
I'm probably one of the rare people that love circus peanuts out there. But my whole point is I've had the first shot and I have yet to have the second. So, and I still have questions. So I don't know if she knows what she's talking about.
Look how many people have gotten sick now, even after the first
But-
shot and the second shot.
So that's interesting, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but so were you shot shamed to get the first one? I like that.
I
Did you
was-
make that up?
No,
Very good.
I was encouraged.
Okay.
I think that's the better word for it. I work in a
Yeah.
medical profession, so I think the best appropriate word would be encouraged, because some would say pressure, or and I'm still getting encouraged for the second. Like,
Yeah.
individuals are still reaching out to me and saying, hey, we noticed that you didn't have the second one. And then to
That
give you
sounds
another
curious.
example, I was eating at a particular restaurant in Rochester, and now they're starting to advertise local pharmacies. Hey, why don't you just take a few steps over here, and we're willing to give you this. So I thought, okay. And I'm like, I'm not gonna. I'm like, if it happens to fit into my schedule, I've always kind of said that it's my body. It's my choice. So if the timing is right, and I do choose to get it, but at this moment, I'm okay with the first one.
Sarah Silverman disagrees with you.
I know.
But wait,
100%. No, hang on. Let's look at this. Now, seriously. She talks about this, does real. This is clever. And I want to bring this up again because this is super clever. And I was just looking at it and thinking, okay, she's like starts this off pretty mild. She's like making this about other people, right?
Mhm.
Like, hey, this is really what's happening. 29%, 43%, sounds all good. Come on, you tried cocaine, kind of being funny, the peanuts and all of a sudden, in caps, it's changed, right? She's yelling at you to get back. She's calling you a name that I'm not
Ridiculous.
going to repeat.
Ridiculous.
Yes, a ridiculous person. And she says, let's get back to normal. I have shows to do.
So then she made it about herself.
So it's not about your body. It's not
Yeah.
about your right. It's about her right to get back to making money.
her normal.
Her normal.
And that's the shaming is, well, do it for everybody else, don't do it for you. Well, you watch your own bobber. I'll watch my bobber. And
Mhm.
the one thing that
This is the wrong podcast about watching bobbers, Craig.
okay, good point. But you look at those
No, it's a
numbers.
good analogy.
Yeah,
I'm
look at
just
the
kidding.
numbers. 43% of our population has gotten the first shot. A third of those people have not gotten their second shot,
Yes.
according to her numbers, whether, whatever.
Yeah.
But a third of the people are in your same boat, Harmony. They haven't taken that second
Yeah.
shot.
But that's what I wanted to ask is, don't you have to have that second dosage within a certain amount of days?
But-
You have a window.
I believe
Otherwise, it's
so.
not
I don't
effective.
know
Did
I-
they
if you
tell you
remember.
that? I don't know because I haven't had it, but didn't they tell you that you have to have that
I've
second
heard
dose?
that from, and even my sister-in-law was she was like, it was interesting to see someone's reaction. When she found out I missed my second one, I actually forgot about it. It was scheduled to take it. And she's like, what? You didn't get the second one? What are you going to do? Like, I'm going to be okay. All right. I'm like, I'm my own guinea pig. They should be thanking me. I didn't get the second one. Let's see how this first one plays out. You're welcome. I found humor in it. She was, so more worried about it than I was. So that is definitely interesting to see everybody's perspective and how they're reacting to other people's bodies and minds of making a decision. Like, so I very much agree. Like, I get it that there's moments where people feel it's their business because we're all trying to get back to this normal that people keep wanting to talk about, but at the same time it's like, watch your own bobber, right, Craig?
What's wrong, Bob? I don't even fish that much, but just
You know what I say to Sarah Silverman?
Which was a sore arm.
You know what I say to Sarah Silverman? She wants to get back to normal, but what about me? My normal's not changed. So I've been living life in the last year as life should be. So I'm sorry that she has shows to do and she needs to get back to life, but this is life for me.
But you have the public school district in Rochester calling, setting it up for shots next week. Did you get that call?
Wow.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I got the
Did you know
email.
that?
Well, I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was
What's this?
true or
And for
not.
The
but-
Rochester Public School District is, Mayo for one, I will say.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Century as well.
Mhm. And I believe it's no cost or anything for students. They're trying to get as many vaccinated and family members, but you have to have an appointment. Yep.
And what I will say about that is I have a 16-year-old son, and I've left it up to him to make that decision. We've talked about it. He knows my situation, and I said, this is so your choice. I'm not going to, the information, you've heard about it. So and he said, no, he does not want it. So I think that's interesting to hear it from a 16-year-old's perspective too, especially for me, just kind of throwing it out there as his mother. There's no pressure. I don't put pressure on my child for that kind of things. This is the beginnings of making some adult decisions, I think.
That's a really good point. Yeah, absolutely.
Good for him.
And I don't
Yeah.
want to come across as like an anti-vaxxer. I've had the MMRs, all that stuff. Our daughter's had all of that stuff on schedule as she needs to.
Mm-hmm.
But those are proven. Those have decades of track records.
Right.
This is a year old, not even a year old. That's my hesitancy. I'm not worried about growing an extra ear. I was going to say horn, but I don't have to start with.
CDC and all
But-
these people that are concerned, did they think everybody was going to be a sheep? I mean, did they not think that people were going to somehow see how things turned out? And, last week we talked about how people were getting sick with the second dose and even the recall with Johnson & Johnson. Did they not think that some people were going to just see how all this plays out? Obviously, I mean, hello.
I agree. I think that one of the things that for me is talking to a lot of different people is that the commonality here is why are they forcing this? Why people like Sarah Silverman, this is not super uncommon in her circle.
It's her humor. But
to
to me, this is her style of humor. But there is some bite.
No,
behind it.
there's a lot of truth to it.
Yeah.
In any kind of, whether it's humor or not. Lies are based off of partial truths, right? I mean, comedy is based off of a lot of truth. It's just how you turn it.
Right.
Like I could say the same thing and not be funny and mean the same thing.
And it's in writing. So there's no, you don't know how she's saying it in her head. That's the problem with texting and writing.
And you're going back to this too. So say she has a concert or show. I'll say show. Okay. And people are vaccinated or they're not vaccinated. You're not what are you going to do? Prove your vaccination again? That's against laws. It's just so crazy to think. I mean, isn't it New York City's opening up by July? He said he wants everything opened up regardless. Did you just read this?
Wow.
Yeah.
No, someone said, I was texting somebody yesterday and he said that they were opening up New York or something in July or whatever it was. But I didn't read it. It was just a conversation.
But is that going to be, are we going to be checking everybody you're sitting next to? Are they going to have shows? If they're opening it up, is it going to, I won't say it isn't going to matter, but is it going to
Make a difference?
make a difference?
Here's the thing. Texas has opened up and they've been doing shows. They had 40, they got condemned in big ways for 43,000 people in a venue. What was that for? I can't remember now. I'm doing this off of memory, so I apologize, but they're like super spreaders, the biggest super spreader since COVID hit and all this kind of stuff. Well, it didn't happen.
I thought that just happened at Trump rallies. I'm sorry.
Well, anything like where it happens is not Trump rallies. That was just the publicity at the time. Where it happens, but no, listen, where it happens is where they don't agree with it. Right. They didn't like where the Texas governor opened it up and he said 100% open the venues, open this. Science says we can, now the CDC says differently, but are they science? I'm sorry, but they're bouncing all over the place since the beginning of this and they have no idea what's going on.
Well, look, Fauci just came out and said, now you can be outside. You don't have to wear a mask, only if you're not around strangers.
If you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask.
I'm sorry.
If
I
you
forgot
have
that.
two vaccinations.
Yeah.
Right.
But you don't have to wear a mask, but you can't be around strangers. You can only be around people you know.
But that's what I was trying to get at. Who's going to know? You're vaccinated. You're not.
You're
You've had
gonna
two.
get
I haven't
dot
one.
above
That's
your
what I
left
mean.
eye.
You're
One
going to wear a
dot here, one
T-shirt
dot
around.
here.
I've had two.
How discriminating
You're
is
gonna
that?
you're gonna carry around that card.
Exactly.
Your
Put
vaccine
it
passport.
on one of those things, just like your
Lanyard.
Yeah.
Backstage pass,
Yeah.
VIP.
Right, VIP.
The vax
Yeah,
passports
Back
and
pass.
I don't know. It's
Maybe the
pretty.
people with the 3 ears, we could tell.
Not the Disney pass, but the VAC pass. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So there's hesitancy because of all this ridiculous stuff, like Sarah Silverman calls us. But back to Texas, I want to finish that. And so it wasn't a super spreader, but here's what they're also doing in Texas. I looked this up too. Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle have had shows down in Austin. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I
Lisa's
did.
shaking her head
I
like,
did.
yeah.
I
So,
did.
they had shows, and what they did was they did a rapid test for COVID, and basically they did the social distance and everything, and they did a rapid test for COVID. So if you were tested negative, you were allowed in. Now there's a huge cost to that, and it takes time. So you literally say would have to get there at 5, and they had 400 people or whatever the number was, and everybody had to be tested, and each person takes about 15 minutes. So it takes a lot of time, and it's a big cost, but it can be done. So there is zero reason for places not to say we can open up, but for the CDC themselves not to say we can open up, but here are the guidelines. And I'm okay with some guidelines, but then give you the choice whether or not you can do that. And that's where these kinds of things like Sarah Silverman's, she's not looking for a solution. She is looking to control you and me. That's literally what she's saying here. And what's interesting to me was a month before this, or ish, actually, I think it was more the beginning of March, she came out with a big rant. And I don't know if any of you saw this big rant about how she was so disappointed in her political party, and she said she probably would never be associated with another political party, and ranted about how you can't have absolutes, and that's part of the problem, and blah blah blah, and did this whole massive rant. Now she tweets something like what we see here.
Yeah,
It'd be interesting to know if she was vaccinated.
Yeah,
It would.
I'm sure she was. I mean, that's
to put something like this and not be would be. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think she was,
Yeah.
but I'm not positive. But so here's the other thing. She is, you said your body, right? She has definitely been a proponent of that forever. And now she's telling you what to do.
hypocrite.
Completely.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't have time for. If her opinion is get the vaccination, great. But rules for thee and not for me.
Yeah.
And it still comes down to personal choice. If you don't want to go to these concerts because you don't feel comfortable around other people, then stay home. You don't have to go.
Exactly.
Amen.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like if we as people, I think she's pretty talented. I mean, she's funny. She's not all of her stuff is really for me, but some of the movies she's been in, I really enjoyed. I've seen some of her stand up, and some of that kind of stuff has been really good. But I guess I'll never spend $1 on one of her comedy shows or on her movies again, probably.
Yeah.
She's telling me what to do.
Right.
I don't know.
And again, her, she's using her celebrity, to voice her opinion. And
It's not an opinion, though. She's telling you what to do.
well, yes. And then the thing about it is, I always say there's such power in words, right? Can you imagine if she just stopped at, come on, you've tried cocaine and circus peanuts, boom, done.
Exactly.
She could have just stopped it there, made it funny. That's super Sarah Silverman, but no, then she had to put capitals. Obviously, again, to me, what this feels like is she was having a moment of feeling very passionate about it. Who knows what was happening before, and went right to the phone. When she went, that's what I felt from when she was like, get vaccinated, you read, it just felt very, it's so hard to read text, isn't it? With emotion
and that's why I brought into context some of the other stuff
Yeah.
that she's talked about and done. I mean, that's so the context of this is like, she's not standing on any principle. I don't know if anybody can hear us, but let's wait. And we're back. Good old satellite internet out here in the country where we can defend ourselves, where we still believe in the Second Amendment and all that kind of stuff. So anyway,
And a guard dog.
And the guard dog. So satellite is what we have to suffer through. But, well, I don't know. I think anybody else have anything on this particular? All these things adding up to me is why people are so hesitant on vaccinations, I guess, is
You
my.
bet.
I'm literally just opened up this message, and I have a photo shoot tomorrow, and this is an article linking to this I can't say where, to this building that I have to be at tomorrow, asking if I've had a COVID shot, and linking to this article. Right now
Really?
from a client.
Wow.
Wow, interesting.
Hmm.
That shouldn't affect my performance. And
Wow.
oh wow,
Yeah.
Wow. And look at how many
I-
people are getting sick, though. I mean, let's talk about that. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, how many people, I know people
I
that
do
have
too.
gotten sick from the second dosage.
Super
or
sick.
Super sick. Yeah, super sick. Did they not realize?
And
I mean,
some haven't. I want to clarify
Right,
that
right.
too. Some haven't.
but the ones that I know
most
of,
haven't. Most haven't. The
people are
I
talking
personally
about
know.
it because they're sick. Because, I mean, if they went and got the second dose and they're not sick, they're not talking about it. But if they went and got the second dose or first dose, they're talking about it because they're sick. Realize that they have 29% chance of having worse than COVID symptoms with the vaccine. I mean, worse than COVID symptoms with the vaccine.
Yeah, in their justification is here's where it gets confusing. They say, well, you're going to probably get COVID. It just might not be as bad.
Right.
I know a bunch of people that have tested positive for COVID now 2 months after their
Yeah.
2-3 months after their
Yeah.
vaccination.
Mm.
Now they said they weren't super sick, a little bit, blah, blah, blah. But hey, that's the reality of this new. I mean, this is new.
Yeah.
This is experimental. We just don't know.
a friend of mine's friend, 62 years old, had both vaccinations and was on a ventilator in Rochester at St. Mary's. Went home, full recovery. A week and a half later, just not feeling good again, and he's been at St. Mary's ever since. His organs were shutting down from complications,
Yeah.
and he passed away on Monday.
Mm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
there's just not
It's
enough.
sad.
Yeah, very sad, very sad.
And that's why it's so important. I want to throw this in here too. It's so important to talk to your doctor on what you should do, not have Sarah Silverman or
Mhm.
Joe Rogan or whatever. They're not doctors.
Mm.
Do what listen to your doctor, do what you think is best based off of that information. And if you think the one thing about this that we have in our country, we're supposed to be able to get a second or third opinion. If they're telling you that if you have allergies, as an example, and your doctor's telling you get the shot. Well, I've read a lot of things that you're not supposed to get the shot if you have allergies. So, talk to another doctor. We're not here giving you advice on this. We're literally sharing our opinion.
Empowering people.
Yes, exactly. So, hey, help us out. Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it. Yeah, let's talk about some big ships. What are you guys gossiping about over
The
there?
cruise ship.
Are you
We're
gonna have to
ready.
get? Are you gonna have? I'm going right into this because are you gonna have to get vaccinated to go on a
Okay.
cruise
Oh, yeah.
ship?
No?
Let's take a look. What is it? What does it say here? Now this is going to be really hard for me to read. Sorry, y'all. Cruise lines are slowly moving ship after ship abroad after more than a year without sailing in U.S. waters due to COVID-19 pandemic. Typically, Americans represent nearly half of cruises on annual basis, and nearly half of cruises worldwide department from the U.S. ports, according to a 2019 report from the Cruise Lines International Association, the industry-leading trade organizations. And there's oops, wrong slide here. There's a lot of things. Can we get this up on the screen? There's a lot of things that this has to say, and they talk to some very big, there's CEOs in here, and Frank Del Rio, CEO of Norwegian Cruise Lines. What was interesting reading through this and learning about this, they're bailing on the United States. I mean, that's really essentially what a lot of this is. They're bailing on this. What do you think?
Well, I am dressed for a cruise today.
Well, the dinner part of it,
yes,
anyway.
yes. I am a big cruiser. I have been on 14 cruises in the last little while here, and I'm very upset about this. Again, if you don't want to go on a cruise, then don't go. but leave it open for anybody who does want to go, if you're vaccinated or not vaccinated. And the money that we're losing, I feel sorry for Florida. This is ridiculous. How many jobs, not even anything about the cruise ship, but the hotels, the rental cars, the freight loaders, the food, the everything that's been affected by this. And yet Disney World's open and there's people from other countries all there, and the cruise ships leaving from Greece or other countries, that's perfectly fine. And I think it's crazy. I think that by making the decision to move out to different ports, or now we're going to fly into the Bahamas versus Miami. And so it's not like people are going to stop cruising. It's just a matter of.
And I was going to ask you that. Does that mean that you have to spend a little bit more money to go outside of the U.S. to catch your cruise? How would that
not
work?
necessarily.
No.
Depends on where you go. Like flights to Jamaica are super cheap.
And getting a hotel there right now is super cheap. And they're doing
Right.
anything to get you there. So I'm sure these other countries are going to love this. I know Royal Caribbean is going to the Bahamas. And I believe Norwegian was it St. Martin they were going to pull out. But they had to have the piers big enough, too, to hold that many people loading and stuff like that. I mean, the Bahamas is a great spot for, I think, their economy. Right?
Great place
right?
for a podcast.
And talk about the governor of
Hint,
Florida.
hint.
I didn't see in the article if it said that a vaccine was required. Did you guys
It didn't
see?
say anything
Yeah.
about that either. No,
I wondered.
It talked
So-
about it for the crew. All of the crew would
Yes.
be
Right, but not the
vaccinated.
passengers.
So you just need a
But-
negative test, probably.
They
No,
didn't.
they didn't
They didn't say
say
that?
no.
Okay, good.
No.
And I
Let's
will
go.
I will say above and beyond. I mean, I've been on a lot of different cruise lines, but before COVID, I mean, there was Norwalk virus. There were other viruses, and I get it. I see the other side of it. It's a floating tin can. You're going to be out there. If one gets sick, everybody's going to be quarantined.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, they went above and beyond with sanitation, wiping down stuff. I mean, you didn't even step out of your room, and they were wiping that down with Clorox wipes. And this was way before COVID. So, I mean, I think they know what they're doing, and I feel like that they're being penalized for not being able to open back up.
And I wanted to say this, just a real brief part of this. There's a letter, it says, on the heels of a lawsuit brought by Florida against the CDC, which Alaska has joined, and there's new legislation proposed by Republican Senator Rick Scott and Marco Rubio of Florida, and then Dan Sullivan of Alaska. And I think that's really important and crucial, because the thing here is, again, they're doing things to divide. And I'm not saying the Republicans are doing it. I'm saying I believe in this case, the CDC is my opinion, that they're the ones that are doing it to divide, right? They should be saying, okay, here's the guidelines to Florida. They should be going to Florida and saying, here's the guidelines. Don't make this political. And now the Republican Party are saying we have to open up. And now I've heard people say, well, the Republicans are making this a political issue. Well, no, that's not true.
No.
That's not at all true. The Republicans are trying to get people back to work, and the
Right.
Republicans are trying to get
Back to normal, like
tax
Silverman
revenue.
wants.
Yeah, exactly. And so there has to be congruent rules. It can't be what it is, in my opinion.
Well, I'm more dressed for shuffleboard, but
Get command.
or be your drink boy. I was kind of on the
Cabana boy?
same. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Cool boy.
I was thinking
Craig
more,
is not wearing pants, by the way.
Wow.
they're cargo shorts.
Just kidding.
I'm not wearing pants.
I feel like every
like a Zoom
episode we
meeting.
get a little deeper personal.
Yeah.
Why do you think we have a table here? It's not glass top.
None of us are wearing pants.
Yeah.
Sorry, Craig.
Oh no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I could take it. I was thinking the same thing as you, as far as what's it doing to the economy of Florida. And this isn't all about money, but
Well,
all the farms that were supplying those
Right.
ships, all of that whole industry, now those ships are going to get their supplies in other countries. Now, whether those supplies still come from the U.S., but the logistics of that and the tax revenue that Florida is losing is
Well,
millions of dollars. a
So
week.
here's the thing about the tax revenue. I saw it coming, so I want to throw this in there. So to my recollection, now people, I say this every week, fact check whatever we're talking about. We're giving opinions, we're reading news stories, literally that it's up to you to go fact check some of this stuff. But if memory serves, all of these cruise lines are not based in the United States.
Correct.
So their taxes are the only tax revenue that's collected then would be on supplies. So there's no tax revenue, and also docking fees.
But
Yeah,
also
their
jobs.
docking fees
No,
are
the jobs would
hundreds
not.
of
The
thousands.
hotels that you're staying at the night before.
Well,
your
in
cruise?
Florida,
Oh,
yes.
For the
yeah,
But as
yeah.
far
but
as the
not for the
cruise
crew.
ship itself.
Oh, okay.
So any employee for the cruise lines, any so the taxes that are collected would be on like docking fees and any supplies that are bought in the United States and things like that. That's where the tax revenue would come from, which is significant.
Oh, the docking fees are hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands, if not millions of dollars a week.
Right. So
Yeah.
So anyway, so that I just want to be clear on that tax revenue because that's a tricky thing because they were asking the United States to bail them out when COVID hit.
Oh.
And I'm like, wait a minute here. I started looking into that.
You fly a different flag on
that-
the back of your ship.
Exactly. So anyway,
I like that.
so I
Well,
just
it's true.
wanna
There aren't
make-
very many big ships.
That'd be
I don't
really
have
Based on
anything
the US.
against the cruise lines, and I don't have anything against what they're trying to do there to be a business. That's not my point. I don't know their exact business practices. I guess the point is that we have to understand really where that line is, that tax revenue line, and it's and then we shouldn't bail a company out that's trying to do that.
No,
And
they're using the laws that are written, but
But not even about the money. Sorry.
oh no, it's
No, but the entertainment.
right.
it's good for everything to be open, to be doing
Right.
these things, to be in Florida, to be in Alaska. It's good for everything.
Exactly. And why are they safely sailing across seas? And I haven't heard any major outbreaks from COVID on a cruise ship. Have you?
When it
Well, at the
started out,
beginning,
Yeah,
when
it
it
was the
started,
beginning,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
they were petri dishes, and I understand
And that's why they clean them
why
so
the
well, though.
hesitancy,
Yeah.
Because they are. They've always been known for being a petri dish.
right? And I'm sure that's why the CDC is being so skeptical. But set your guidelines and give them an opportunity to follow those guidelines.
Mhm.
People can go to pro sports events now, so why can't they go on a ship?
Exactly.
So let's go,
So-
Lisa. When are we going?
I'm free Tuesday. I'm pretty dressed right
Wow.
now.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
going
what-
tonight. What are you talking
Jeez.
about?
Well, you can't take a cruise ship on Silver Lake right now because it's a stream. But
Yeah,
go
you take a paddle boat.
paddle. No,
Can you even
No,
do
you
that,
can't.
Rod?
no.
because it's
You
so
can't even
low.
do that
That's
so
right.
low.
That's
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Can you do that in
The drop.
Minnesota? Did our governor allow us to take a paddle boat out yet?
Good question.
Hey, my
Being-
my boat's going out Sunday, so get the dock in tomorrow.
Boats and hoes.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's a Catalina wine mixer. In my world. Sorry.
Oh boy, that is good stuff. Anything else on the cruise ships? I mean, I don't know. There's nothing congruent about what the CDC is doing, and I am so tired of it. There's nothing congruent. They're literally going after things and then not after the other thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's what you should do is probably hammer the like button. Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it. Yeah. Lisa's over here. She's like about ready to pass out from
I need
heat.
a cruise, man.
Yeah. Well, Idaho is kind of cool right now, so let's talk about Idaho. Idaho passes law banning critical race theory indoctrination at public schools. Republican governor. What's so interesting to me, I've read so many articles in the last couple of weeks, and how old are you, Lisa? Are you having some, like ready, like you're ready to have, like, is it your
You're trying
birthday
to say
time
hot
to
flash.
Did
go?
your mom
go on
tell
a
you to
cruise?
never ask a
You are
woman
not
her
No,
supposed
age?
be
I'm
asking
kidding.
that
That's
stuff.
why I'm putting her on the spot.
You mean you can
I'm
ask her
putting her-
out her age, but you can
I will.
You can't ask her age because you
I
can't
know,
ask
that's
if
why
they're
I said it.
vaccinated.
I would probably say I am 49. I
You're
No.
young, baby.
am. Right,
Ask
right.
if they're vaccinated,
I-
but you can't ask their age.
I am worked
She's-
up about this cruise thing.
I know,
And,
it's-
and the shots. And, yeah.
It's like, Shannon, what'd you put in our cups?
So that's why I get my own.
Right? Like you're covering it with your hand.
Right.
Like,
Banana boy?
This
No-
is a
no
safe
refuse.
place.
Anyway, back to it. What's interesting is like I've read so many articles and they've talked about governors of other states and they don't almost ever say unless they're Republican. It's Governor Tim Walz.
Ah,
It's it's Governor Gavin Newsom.
yeah.
It's all these things. They don't
Governor
put Democrat,
Cuomo.
but when it's a Republican, these stories, it's blown my mind. And I'm not going to go down that road, but it's something to think about. People think about what
Kind
you
of like
see.
race. If it was,
It's exactly, and which is the reason
black person who got shot, a black man got shot. It's not a white person got shot. Yeah.
right. And so that's why I bring it up, because this is exactly what the critical race theory type thing is talking about, and why it's so dangerous. So Republican Governor of Idaho Brad Little signed into a law a bill prohibiting public school teachers from indoctrinating students with critical race theory. The bill received a majority vote, 28-7 in the legislature, was subsequently sent to Little's desk. It bans educators from forcing students to affirm, adopt, or adhere to any teachings that profess that an existing identity group is inherently superior or inferior to another or responsible for any historical wrongs associated with their identity groups. The claim that there is widespread systemic indoctrination occurring in Idaho classrooms is a serious allegation, said Little. Most worryingly, it undermines popular support for public education in Idaho. HB 377, sponsored by state Republican Senator Carl Crabtree, also affirmed, Republican, of course, right?
Look how they're using that as the noun. The Republican is the noun. I'm just going to say that where they used to do R and they used to do D in parentheses behind the name. But you know why they don't do that anymore? Because people didn't know what that meant.
Right, which is sad.
So now they're using the word Republican as a describer.
Right.
So
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very it's not congruent again.
Sorry.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, there's a lot I disagree with you about, Martha May, including our text last night, right?
What was that?
Oh yeah.
The group text.
The whip.
No,
Well,
the other one.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't that one.
So my point being is that we are able to agree to disagree. So I'm agreeing with you on that 100%. You don't have to be sorry for bringing it up. And I say that just because that's why we're here doing this, is that we're bringing up and pointing out things that, most of the time we maybe would just overlook.
Right.
So I thank you for doing that. That's all I'm saying. But HB 377, sponsored by the Republican Senator Carl Crabtree, also affirmed the obligation of teachers to protect the right of students to express differing opinions and foster and defend intellectual honesty, freedom of inquiry and instruction, and freedom of speech and association. This is there's a lot that we could read here, but I think we'll end it there. Oh, I'm glad to see this, quite honestly. This is really, really powerful, really, really important.
in this, this has been touched on in the last few weeks for Rochester school districts. I think the most important thing in this article that's affecting any schools that are taking this on is, most worryingly, it undermines popular support for public education anywhere.
Yes.
I believe the numbers in Rochester are like 800 students left the school district last year. A lot of that they were blaming COVID, but it was the same number the year before. And I have multiple clients this year that want to move out of Rochester to get away from the school district. They don't care where they go. They just don't want to be in Rochester schools. And it's because of stuff like this. This should be something that's taught at home. And there's a ton of information about this on both sides, but basically, in my opinion, they're making anybody that's white inferior to anybody of any other ethnicity than white. Why do we have to pigeonhole people, white, black, BIPOC, whatever? We're all humans, and why are we getting away from that? Why do we have to label everything and everybody?
We like to hammer the like button and the share button, not the table.
Not the table. Sorry, I'm pulling the Martha May pass.
Two rules. That's all I have.
I'll sit on my hands.
It's hard.
It is hard. I get it.
You know, and you the memes that you see, the little kids of all different races playing together with no care in the world. What changes that? Where people start to hate other people. It's not the kids. It's not something the kids are discovering themselves. It's what they're being taught, whether it's being taught at school or being taught at home. Why do some people inherently hate our law enforcement? Because that's what they're taught at home, whether they've had a bad experience with police or not. It frustrates me that kids are being educated by their parents or their community to hate law enforcement or to hate white people or to hate black people. That's what's wrong.
And you use
Everybody
the word
love everybody.
educated. I say condition.
Condition. That's a
Condition's
much
a
better
really
term.
good word that, from the moment we're born, we're told what religion we're going to be and, who we like, who we don't like, things like that. So sometimes I think the process of life is not necessarily learning. It's the unlearning, of, just society around us. I mean, we are constantly filled with information, whether it's from our own family, friends, work, the media. It's constantly around us. So it's kind of like thinking for ourselves and, keeping, so this article was very significant. It's like, just teach our children and keep your opinions to yourself. Yeah.
So the critical race theory thing, some of it stems, like I said, I've read about it at the beginning of the show. A lot of it, unfortunately, and I know a lot of people are going to not be happy that I say this, but a lot of this stemmed from the Obama administration, and here's why. That I've read about. Here's why. In the census, his administration created other groups. Like, in other words, when you see the census, are you white, black, Hispanic, blah, 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 right? And so they started to separate the blacks into different groups, and I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not saying that, but, people of color into separate groups and all these. So all of a sudden they're trying to create all these different like victim groups is what it was. And then you have the 1619 project. I don't know if you've heard of that. And what that is they're and I should have brought this into this story, but so this 1619 project is saying that the United States was actually found in slavery in 1619 because there was a ship that landed here in 1619 and they had consequently some slaves on it that they ended up selling, if memory serves. So they're saying, well, that's why America was founded. It was founded because they wanted to have a slave country when England they already had slaves and so on. And so they're trying to do this. But in the 1619 project and the people who did it and researched it, there is some truth and there is some not truth, right? But the thing that was interesting as I read about the critical race theory and I read about how this all ties together, that when they wrote this supposed history, the 1619 project, was they actually would not have debate with historians. Now think about that. No, seriously, think about that. Mm-hmm. They would not have debate with historians. Now, the next step was this lady that talked to a historian, a person of color, this historian, said this part doesn't make a lot of sense and doesn't add up. She said, I don't care. Put it in there anyway.
Wow.
Literally. So go look it up, people. Go look it up. Now think about that. So you are literally getting on top of the mountain and you are screaming your agenda and your history without actually checking it against anything else. How dangerous is that for your own cause?
Mm-hmm. Justify your reasoning. It's like people that you invite onto your show that won't come on here because they don't want to be challenged. Saw it last week after our show and some of the stuff we talked about. Why would you go on his show? Why not? Defend your stance. Defend your point of view.
And what's so interesting, so let me tell you how some of this works. I'm emailing back and forth with an assistant with someone right now, not in the local area or anything like that. So I'm emailing back and forth with someone's assistant. We literally, to schedule an initial phone call, we're emailing back, and I this happens all the time. I do this every single week. I'm emailing back and forth just to set up a 15 or 30-minute phone call with people. Okay. Now, this is how intense that this stuff is. So when you ask somebody to be on, it's a big deal, and I get that. But here's the thing. We're communicating with each other in some fashion. A lot of these people will just go out there and they'll scream and scream and scream and not communicate back and forth, right? And even if it's something, conversation with an assistant, it's important to have those conversations so that you can have that 15 or 30-minute phone call with people. But they're not doing that. So are you right? Doesn't make me right that you're not doing that, for sure. That's dangerous.
It's heavy.
I think I commented on one of your posts one time, Matt, that you had where I said one of my dad's phrases was, I'll blow and no show, where these people literally are all talk and no action kind of thing, where they just are not standing for what they are talking about. They don't have.
They're standing, they're not debating.
Well, they don't have anything to stand on with what they're talking about.
Well, no, they're standing
hiding
on it.
They kind of hide, you know.
Yeah,
Hide behind
Well,
their keyboard.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to say more or less like the follow through, I guess, that they are all talk and no action, meaning like they can talk the talk but not walk the walk. So so they're standing there, but they're just not
No follow through. How about
follow
that?
through. Yeah, but
Well,
I mean, it kind of goes back.
It's
to
not a
how Logan
dialogue,
also-
it's a monologue. It's like a
Yeah.
comedian getting up on stage, and that's a monologue. You get Joe Biden's speech the other night. That was a monologue, and that's okay. You got to give speeches. I get that. That's not my point. My point is that there's a time to give your monologue, and there's a time to have dialogue. There's a time to have the conversations back and forth and say, well, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This is how I see it. And again, there's that saying, and I've said this before, just because I'm wrong doesn't make you right. And you could reverse that around. There's opinions and perspectives, and well, this letter in history said this. And so then you're starting to go off of, well, what did they intend in this letter? What did they intend with the slavery? What did they intend with the Declaration of Independence? And what did they intend with the Bill of Rights? And what did, and the reality is with this critical race theory thing, the reality is they, the founding fathers of the United States of America did something that has never been done in history, and they created a space for all people, imperfectly, but they created that space for all people. Look at where we've come. Look at the progress that has exploded like never before in history. Don't discount that.
Right.
Are there problems? Heck yes. Heck yes. But this isn't a solution.
No.
This is a
stepping
solution,
back.
but the critical, yes.
And there were some people that had made quotes that were in the news a few weeks ago regarding a flag at a park. And the comment was, I listened to this person and they said, well, we should have all women running our country because men have run our country for 200 years.
Well, wait, they
But
said
then,
black women.
hold on.
She said black women.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
She said all women. Well, I'm going to step back and just say all black women should be running our country. And it's like,
Wow.
That's exactly.
and this is an educator in our school system.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think those types of quotes are why the Rochester School District has accepted Black Lives Matter as a government term to be used in schools. And Rochester School District is going towards exactly what Idaho banned, and that scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And that's why there is an exodus from Rochester schools. For a town that is growing as fast as it is, why are we losing students? Because of what this article is fighting.
It's crazy. Harmony are big meme people, and one of my favorite ones is the
Not
two-
anymore.
Not anymore.
Just Lisa.
Only one of
Just
you.
Lisa.
It's all Lisa.
But there's one of my very favorite ones is the two little girls, and they're in the grocery store, and they're wearing the same shirts, and they have both braids in their hair. One's black and one's white, and the little girl's like, "I found my twin sister," and it's like that's what
Refreshing.
Yeah, I
That-
have 4 grandbabies. I don't say I have 2 black grandbabies and I have 2 white grandbabies. I mean, that would not even come out of my mouth till right now. I don't think that way. I don't introduce them that way. I have 4 grandchildren. I can't even imagine saying you know what I mean? Oh, 2 of them are black, 2 of them are white.
Yeah.
Well, they're a gift from
They're your
God,
babies.
and they're babies, and this is just mind blowing to me.
And it's like an adoption thing too. Like a lot of people, there were years that I knew. I mean, these people are my age, so they adopted kids, but I knew them later in life, and they're like my kid and my kid and my kid and my kid, and I never knew that one of them was adopted, like for almost 10 years.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's the exact thing. It's like this is a person.
Right.
This is like you say, a
And I
gift
bet
from
you they
God.
didn't either.
They
because
didn't
they were
think
just
that way.
loved by their parents.
Yes.
You know
So
what I mean?
what went wrong?
Yeah.
And I
Why did
think
he
about how
care?
I grew up, and there are people that I didn't like. Some of them are black, but that's not why.
Right.
Some of people I got into fights with, most of them were white. I mean but I don't think of it that way.
What?
And my kids growing up, never, I mean, ever, there was never that division. They would go up to a playground, and there they were playing with kids.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It makes me think of a guest that you've had on your other show, who is a local politician, and he's adopted 2 colored kids, and he has three kids of his own with his wife, and he's adopted 2 colored kids. And I saw a few people had the goal to make the comment that he adopted the 2 black kids to win votes. And I'm like,
no.
you are an
Wow.
absolute puke of a human. One child was adopted from, I can't think of the country in Africa, but Western Africa, a country in an extremely bad situation. They're working on trying to adopt another boy from that country, and they've adopted a second
Bless their
black boy
hearts.
from
Bless their
Texas.
hearts.
They want these kids to have a good life. That's all that they want. They don't care that they're black, white, brown, yellow, or whatever.
Yeah.
They're trying to make a better world for those children. And for
Republicans-
somebody to say that.
Republican Tim Scott in South Carolina just was called a black white supremacist. I believe it was. There was a meme or there was a tweet or something like that. So here's the point of that. You can never make someone that is going to rage out of control, like a Sarah Silverman, what we talked about on the vaccination thing a bit ago. When someone rages out of control like that and you don't set boundaries, there's no end to it. This is a well-educated black guy that is a senator, right? Or congressman, senator?
I thought senator. Yeah.
Senator. I should have looked it up, but they literally you cannot make this critical race theory type stuff happy. They're constantly doing things like that. It's unbelievable that I don't know.
What was
We got-
that?
No, it's true.
It's unbelievable that this kind of stuff is going on and happening, that even a person of color, is called out like that. Well educated and personal responsibility that this kind of stuff is happening. So you can't make critical race theory happy. They just want to get on their hill and they want to scream and holler and divide.
What fits their agenda? I mean, what?
Stop
whatever.
dividing.
Yeah.
Start uniting. I feel like we could put that on a T-shirt. Just saying. Could
What
make
color
money.
would the T-shirt be?
I don't know.
Hey, we're going to
Oh,
talk about the comments too at the end. I got a text. We're going to talk about the comments at the end of the show. I got a comment or a text that I'll comment on. I don't know why he doesn't want to comment on the podcast, apparently. So we'll talk about it at the end. Anonymity, apparently, right?
It's okay.
But yeah, anyway, I guess I don't know. This
People are making careers off of this.
totally, yes.
Who shall remain nameless? Can't you just teach reading, writing, math, arithmetic? Teach that there's people that are different than you, but we're all the same. We're all humans.
Yeah.
Why is that so difficult? Why the separation? Why divide?
Why the agenda?
Why the agenda?
Yeah. So let's move to Idaho.
Along with California and Oregon and Washington that are inundating Idaho.
Well, they're trying.
They're trying.
There's counties in Washington, Oregon, in Northern California that are trying to become part of. I think they're calling it Greater Idaho. So they're trying to
separate themselves.
Yeah, like what do they call it? Succeed from those states, the certain counties, so that would literally all.
Sure.
Northern California's tried to become their own state for quite a while, but
yeah, they have. Yeah.
I have a
Kinda
friend
like
in
we wanna be
Idaho,
South
and the
Dakota, right?
influx is insane there
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, it is. Yeah,
We've talked about that.
yeah.
Kind of like we want to be South Dakota. That same thing.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
We just don't want to be the cities.
yeah.
yeah.
No, we want to be
Get-
South Dakota.
Get out of the cities, man. I don't know. Cities are bad. But here's a solution. Help us out. Support us by hammering away. Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it. Yeah. No, I literally... we're back. Yeah, we're back. Thanks for hammering the like button. We appreciate all the support. It's really important. We're here volunteering this. We're just sharing our hearts and our opinions, and not, again, just because I'm wrong doesn't make you right, kind of like theory or whatever. But comments, shares, likes helps us out, supports us. We appreciate it because, we're vain.
Yeah. As we correct our
I mean, look at my hair. Clearly. Exhibit A, my hair.
Can I put a request in for some hairspray in the bathroom?
We could literally
and some champagne.
How about
we could literally do podcasts week after week on just my hair, I think.
Well, you could. I don't know about us.
Oh, I
Right.
think-
That's a good one. Mother.
it could be the new barbershop talk.
Exactly, right? So let's look at this. This is victory. Anti-smoking advocates applaud FDA's move to ban methanol cigarettes and flavored cigars.
Menthol. Yeah.
What did I say?
Methanol. I don't know. It's
Menthol.
menthol.
Oops, menthol.
Just
I know what
I
it
don't know.
says. I
Felt like
just
that
said
was
it wrong
something.
clearly, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's
Sorry
okay.
about that. Yeah, menthol. The Food and Drug Administration announced Thursday it will begin the process of banning menthol. Did I get it right this time? Okay. Whew. Tobacco cigarettes as well as flavored cigars.
All flavored cigars. Yes.
All flavored cigars. A move heralded as one expected to improve the health of groups most likely to smoke menthol products, including children and Black Americans. With these actions, the FDA will help significantly reduce youth initiation, increase the chances of smoking cessation among current smokers, and address health disparities experienced by communities of color, low-income populations, the LGBTQ plus individuals, all of whom are far more likely to use these tobacco products, says acting FDA Commissioner Dr. Janet Woodcock said in a statement. Last week we were talking about macaque monkeys,
That was a good one.
and we just got to get that in every week.
There's tie-in.
Slide that in.
They've been trying to
Anyway,
ban flavored tobacco for a long time. This isn't anything new.
It's not new.
But now
right?
they're putting it. Now the twist is towards people of color, and they're adding that
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got out of the article. I'm like, as much as I get it, because I remember them. It seems like every few years something like this comes up. I thought, geez, there's really like I didn't realize the LGBTQ community that menthol cigarettes. So I learned something, but it felt very targeted, for the Black community, Hispanics, and I mean. I guess they put some statistics, so they're stating some truth, but it still felt very targeted. I don't
That
know.
doesn't
Is that
mean
and is
anything,
that
yeah.
and is that the truth? I mean, I don't know how let's say the Black communities would feel about this article.
So I looked at it as a government thing, meaning like, okay, so the government came out and said, smoking's bad, blah, blah. But then the government came out and said, oh, okay, we'll allow flavored cigarettes, all this flavored cigars, everything, those vapes, everything. And now the government's coming out and saying, no, it's not good for you. So who and what do you trust?
I get back to stop meddling.
Yeah.
If it's bad for you, just ban cigarettes.
What is banning anything ever done?
Nothing like prohibition.
What is education?
It didn't work out very well.
What has education done?
Indoctrinate people.
Yeah.
No, I mean
Brainwash people.
like literal education. Like what I think we're doing here is we're at least at minimum educating each other.
Yeah.
We've talked about this like off camera too. We've literally learned so much in the last couple of like 4 months or whatever because we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Educate yourself. Because clearly the government doesn't know what they're doing.
Well, case in point, look at the topic. It's not a Trump rally that I chose. Well,
it's so interesting to me. The left can't stop talking about Trump, and the hardcore Trumpers can't stop talking about Trump.
I know, but
Let's let Trump talk about Trump.
I'm saying compared to where
it's always Trump.
When
Trump.
we started
Trump.
back in January. I'm saying compared to when we started back in January, like the topics and different things like that. And you're talking about like how we've, cross connected and different things like that, and related other people. And I went out of the box and found something that was not political. No, this is government. This is not politics. This is government. So there's a difference.
It's true. That is true. What's interesting is for the last probably year and a half, certainly since COVID started, I've been doing this a lot, is because when COVID started, they what I noticed was the biggest thing is they started to control every tiny aspect of your life, or certainly tried. And then I started paying attention. I wasn't political before, and I'm not now, but I'm definitely paying attention to it a lot more now because they started to tell me what I couldn't do, when I couldn't do it. I couldn't work. I couldn't all this stuff, right? And that's when I started paying attention. But probably a little bit before that, I started listening to podcasts quite a bit. So probably a year and a half. But what's interesting to me is a lot of direct messages that I get. People are saying, well, all you listen to is Ben Shapiro, and all you listen to is Tucker Carlson. Well, I literally have maybe heard 5 minutes of Tucker Carlson in years. I don't listen to Tucker Carlson. I've probably listened to Ben Shapiro 10 minutes. I've listened to so here's the bottom line of what it is. I listen and read a lot of different things and perspectives so that I can create my own thought process, right? So Pod Save America. It's a podcast. Wow. Podcast Save America. Now think about that. They're trying to save America. Guess when it started? When Trump was elected. Guess who runs the podcast? Former speechwriters of Obama. Guess what they talk about? I listen to it frequently.
Orange Man Bad.
Orange Man Bad. One thing. It's they talked about Biden's speech. They thought it was the best thing ever. That Biden's speech literally got ratioed, is what they call it. In other words, it got more downgrades in the algorithms on social media and YouTube and all these things from dislikes and all the negative things. It got ratioed.
Oh, wow.
Viewers were down, way down. So what I'm saying is I listen to Pod Save America when literally in their name they think they're going to save America off of their agenda. It says it right it's their title. What?
I'm gonna have to listen to it.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's cringy.
Oh yeah,
It's cringy stuff. I'm like, there's no facts in it. They throw some numbers out, and the reason I'm bringing this is because they're trying to throw numbers out here, and like you brought up too, it's not congruent. It always changes. So who should control it? Should just educate it. Yeah, tax it. Sure, I'm okay with that, but don't try to control it. And what did prohibition do?
everything went underground.
I don't know. I'm on a rant here, I guess, and y'all are looking at me funny, and that's okay. But
Okay.
I mean, this stuff is really getting to me because they're starting to try to control every single thing. I had a terrible headache last night and this morning when I woke up, and I've nailed it down to masks. I had to wear a mask yesterday for like 8.5 hours, pretty nearly straight, and the earlier in the week, same thing, and I don't get headaches, right? And so these kinds of things, there's no science to these masks.
Right.
The science that actually legitimate Denmark science that they've done actual live human testing says they don't work, but they got to throw that out because it doesn't agree with their agenda in their echo chamber and things like that. So I read this article, and here's more meddling on cigarettes and flavors and stuff. Are we a free country or not? Because you need to tell me.
Well, it's like it'd be like them telling. I understand the reasoning as far as fruit flavored tobacco for children. I get it. They're trying to get kids hooked. But it's like, well, Coca-Cola can't sell regular Coke. They can only sell Diet Coke. You can only have so many ounces in New York City. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah, say that again.
What?
Say that
You
again.
can only have so many ounces of pop in a cup in New York City. They can't sell you a 64-ounce Big Gulp in New York
Why?
City.
What's the reasoning behind that?
This was years because
Yeah.
it causes obesity.
Bloomberg.
So does
Oh.
McDonald's.
Bloomberg. That's a
Interesting.
Bloomberg thing.
Yeah.
Mayor
Yes,
Bloomberg.
it's government
Wow.
control.
Control.
Yeah.
If I want to have a 64-ounce of
Big gulp.
Coke,
Yeah.
it probably would have some captain in it, but that's my choice to do that.
That's right.
If I wanted to smoke Newports or Marlboros, that's my choice to do that.
But you know what? But you know what the government should do, in my opinion, and what they should spend their money, the tax money on, is educating you on why you should do it. And if you're going to do that, Craig, maybe 20 minutes on the treadmill or on, in the
That's a
swimming
lot of work.
pool, but then you get to choose.
Right.
But now here's the other thing that happens. You also get to choose that my tax money is not going to pay for your medical issues.
Yeah.
Because of smoking.
Yeah.
Because of all these things, and that's where I run into the big like battle for me.
Yeah.
Well, have legitimate warning signs. If I've seen cigarette cartons from other countries, they don't mess around. This is going to kill you.
yeah.
Yeah.
You go to bring up Jamaica again. There's signs up and down the highways. Speeding's going to kill you. In both trips, we've come upon fatalities.
Yeah.
Cut to the chase. Get rid of the softness. If it's going to kill you, it's going to kill you. Tell people that. This could cause cancer. No, it's not. It's going to kill you.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
gravel road on that one.
But it's education again.
It's education.
Yeah. Not meddling. And I say that because 20 years ago, I would have been totally on board with this. Meddle away. Let's do it. People shouldn't smoke. It's bad for you. Take it away. I would totally have been on board with this 20 years ago. But my daughter died in a car crash, and you know what? That educated the heck out of me. And I've looked at things a lot differently. And I don't say that as a sad thing. I say that as a real thing. These are real things that happen. And if we don't have our eyes wide open as people, we're just in trouble, because these elitists and establishment, every time in history, it's ruined everywhere.
I was having dinner with some friends last week, and they were talking about from Farmington, and she was talking about how the school district a year ago thought they're going to have to add a total of 8 different kindergarten classes, and now this year, going for next year, they're only going to need 3. And a year ago, they thought they were going to need 8, because COVID kind of opened a lot of parents' eyes, and I know this is kind of going back a little bit too, but parents' eyes on how we're talking about like the control and different things like that, and even like the sex education and things like that they're trying to bring into the school district, and how that whole mandate with everything. But we're talking about parents, and we're talking about everything that options people have, and it's kind of empowering yourself. It's empowering you to know what you're looking for, to know what you need, compared to the government telling you what you need.
There's a lot more people homeschooling.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And how's that going to work out for the establishment?
Yeah.
Alcohol sales are up.
I say unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, it
Unfortunately,
is sad.
doesn't that turn into a substance abuse?
We could definitely
They're
go down
gonna
that
find
rabbit
something
hole.
else, right? It's like, you replace one habit for another, it just happens.
And
if
it's
they're-
usually a worse habit. Sorry, I
Right.
want to slide that in there. Go ahead.
It can be. And I was just thinking, okay, so you're going to take their menthol cigarettes. I mean, I'm always trying to jump ahead. And if they thought, okay, are you hoping that they'll go to regular cigarettes? Like, have they thought about,
Right.
I'm thinking
Exactly.
money wise too. Like, so how are you going to market this? Are you hoping that, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see if some decide to quit. I mean, I used to be a smoker back in the day, so I know my reasons why I quit. And one of them was because cigarettes are so freaking expensive. So maybe this will be interesting, in the future to see who decides to quit, who decides to pick up something else, or, what'll happen with that.
They're trying to make them so expensive with taxes that people have to quit, but addicted people aren't going to
It
quit.
didn't
They're going
work.
to find a find a way to smoke.
Well,
It
What it's
didn't
going to
work.
cause is somebody's going to come up with oil. They can put a drop on the cigarette,
Yes.
and they can.
I was just thinking that they'll come
It-
out with
or
some
whatever.
or they're just
Something
going to
worse.
chew a piece of gum. There you go. You get a piece
Right.
of peppermint
Put some-
gum, and you
put
get
some
and
juicy
get
fruit
you
around
the
your
same
cigarette,
effect.
whatever.
I don't know.
Well, and all the vaping too. And it's sad to see. You see this in grocery stores where people are getting their EBT cards and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
know they're not allowed cigarettes or alcohol. However, they
Maybe
might
vaping.
have
There's
spent
loopholes.
there's loopholes.
Yeah.
And instead of buying groceries or bread that they need for that, they're taking that extra cash and coming over and buying that $12 or $20 packet of cigarettes, and
Mm.
I just think if they ban, I won't say ban, or if they get rid of this, they're going to find something worse, or they're going to find a way.
It,
And when
it
it's-
usually is when that stuff
Right.
happens. It's usually ends up not for everybody, but it usually
Right.
ends up being something worse.
and not so much even the adults, but as kids, when it's taboo, it's like, oh yeah, it's like 2 weeks ago we were sitting there talking about marijuana and legalizing and stuff like that, and
What did I say then too? I
Yeah.
mean, I agreed then. I 20 years ago, I would have said, absolutely, get rid of it, make sure no one can ever have it. And now I'm totally the opposite. And that's part of like what we're trying to do here too, is like just education. Somebody, instead of taking a big hammer like we have and beating you over the head and saying you can't do this and you can't do this and you can't do this, guess what you do? Exactly that.
Mhm.
They're going to find all kinds of ways to make this happen, and it'll probably be worse. But coming up, we're going to talk about a woman arrested, felony, or was she arrested? Yeah, she was arrested, right?
Yeah.
Well, but first, leave us a good review.
There we go.
And
Well,
Don't-
hopefully it's a good one. Yeah.
well,
Just
if
leave
it's
any
bad,
review.
just
Alright,
don't
then.
worry about it. But and hammer away. Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it. Everybody's like, doesn't like how warm I keep my house. We talk about that every week.
It's probably the lights. it's probably not your house.
No, it's great. I love it.
Do you still
Because
have the
Matt's
heat
not
on?
Nice
wearing
and warm.
pants.
I was
He's
cold
perfect.
last night.
Do you still have
Really
the heat on
comfortable.
in your house?
Heck yes.
Oh my God.
It was in the 30s last night.
I know. I was outside in the grass.
It's crazy.
You-
Of course.
It's warm in there. I
How
bet.
many hours of sleep did you get?
How many hours of sleep
3.
did Martha May get?
Yeah.
Any?
Did you go for a midnight bike ride?
Let's not talk about the midnight rides, Harmony. Okay. Let's
Midnight
get
train
serious.
going
again.
anywhere, right?
Because a woman was charged with a felony for not returning a VHS tape that she found out 21 years later. A Texas woman doesn't remember renting a VHS tape 22 years ago, let alone that she didn't return it. I mean, come on. Take responsibility for yourself, right? No, I'm kidding. Let's read on.
Yeah, there's more to that story, man.
Place she rented it from shut its doors more than a decade ago, but the unreturned tape led to her being charged with a felony. Though the case was dismissed and expunged Wednesday, Carol McBride is looking into legal options.
Of course she is.
Well,
Let's look here,
Read on.
and some of it makes sense. It's hurt me tremendously and my family, she told USA Today. It makes me madder and madder the more I think about it. McBride, 52, was charged with felony embezzlement of rental property in Oklahoma, where she previously lived in March of 2000. More than a year after the tape of Sabrina the Teenage Witch was to be returned, court records show. She believes her boyfriend at the time, who had 2 young daughters, rented the tape in her name. He had to have, McBride said. I know I didn't. I mean, come on. Who doesn't rent Sabrina the Teenage Witch? I mean, I probably
I
own
bet you Nora
several
would probably think
copies.
it's pretty cute when she gets
Uh,
older.
If I
Yeah.
didn't have kids, I would have no idea what that was, but I do, and they were young at that time. So I do know what it is. She added, I have never seen one episode nor movie. McBride didn't find out about the outstanding warrant against her until she tried to change her name on her license after getting married and moving to Texas from Oklahoma. I don't think we'll read on, but it talks about the Department of Motor Vehicles and some of these, a lot of different things. It's a pretty significantly long article, but I'm going to have to jump online and see if I have any felonies.
Right? Makes you think a little
For
bit.
a
And it's funny because when I read this article, it made me think when I was a teenager and VHS tapes were the thing, I remember renting a few and I was so sure that we had brought them back, and I'm going to make this short, to find out that we didn't. We found them like in my friend at the time had a water bed and underneath they have the drawers, and somehow they were there. And it's funny because it made me think. I remember one of the movies was Dolls. It was a horror movie about like these antique dolls that come to life, and it was just funny, and it made me think, boy, I should really maybe do a credit report here to make sure all is good. But it also made me think this too. Like when I was younger, I had this situation where a lot of my mom's boyfriend would put my name in things like magazine subscriptions or things like that. So it's actually probably good to check and to see what's going on your record. And because I actually end up having not the best credit, here as a teenager going into adulthood because of silly things like that. My name was used as a child for things because they couldn't use their own name because they already had shitty credit or whatever it may be. So it made me think of that too a little bit.
sounds like Frank Gallagher from Shameless.
Right.
So
A little
Craig,
bit.
I said something about, of course she is gonna talk about legal matters, and you said, just wait, watch. So what are you saying here?
Did
that
you
Well,
read? Did you read the story?
Yeah.
Because she says she didn't do it.
Yeah, it
Her
says-
ex-boyfriend's
I
the one
know,
that
but-
rented it.
So she says here,
That's
though,
right.
she suspects having the felony on her record may have cost her jobs.
Yeah. So
And that's
emotional
very
distress.
true.
But was she ever
I've done-
convicted of it though? She's charged with
But
a
having,
felony.
but being charged of a felony. So at one of my previous businesses, we did background checks, and I've seen this where a felony would pop up, and one of them specifically, you have. I think Minnesota law, I always disclose why, like if they didn't get the job. And a felony was not necessarily a reason if they had a good reason or whatever. I mean, I don't remember if I ever employed any felons, but I'm saying that I didn't really, if this was 10 years ago or whatever, and if it was for a videotape, I certainly wouldn't get excited about it. But the point being is I would do background checks and you would find out things that the people didn't know. Like I would show them their background check in their second interview and stuff like that. And so when they would be like, I have no idea what this is. This happens. Literally, we're reading about it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you another a personal story. In the mid 90s, I had a boat for several years and sold it. And then in, I believe it was around 2005, 2006, I get a call from the sheriff's department way up in northern Minnesota somewhere. Like, I can't remember the name of the city right now. And they're like, you know, is this so-and-so? And yes, it is. And blah, blah, blah. And they just said, we want you to know that this is not an emergency, you know, so you don't freak out. It was pretty funny. But so they said, we found this and we don't think that it was involved in anything criminal, but we found your boat and trailer abandoned in, it was in a baseball field. Up literally in the middle of a baseball field.
That is so odd.
So kids having havoc or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So wherever, you know, and I'm not going to say who I sold it to, but, you know, they clearly didn't get the title transferred. And then whoever they sold it to later or whatever, because I lost touch with this person, of course. I didn't really know him. I mean, I know him, but I, you know, wasn't friends with him. And so I'm like, well, I sold that to so-and-so and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But this kind of stuff happens. Now, what if that wasn't involved in a crime?
A gun that was stolen.
Yeah.
I mean, so these things happen.
Right.
So go back to the movie store.
You can
go back to the movie store. Didn't she sign a contract when you rented out a movie?
Well, she didn't, because it was her boyfriend. She thinks her boyfriend went in there,
took it out
used
in
her name,
and took it out.
It happened, and that happens.
Have you ever done that?
That
No.
happens.
I did that.
I've done it.
You did.
I've
The bar tab at the tap
Right?
house. It was in
Are
your
you
name,
kidding
it was
me?
Lisa.
I've done it.
What?
I've
Yeah.
done it.
No.
I've done it.
But
Taking out
nobody,
something in somebody else's name?
Absolutely. With their
Why?
permission.
not a credit card, but
No, but a
Right.
movie.
Right, a movie.
A movie.
And you know, back then, that's, you know,
That's what you did.
it's
I
kinda
mean,
what you
it's
did,
like,
and no one ever would have thought you were going to get a felony from that. You know,
Right.
late fees, yeah, and and those could get astronomical if you didn't return. Even at the library, they add up. But no one, I'm sure, would have ever thought, "Hey, let's put felony embezzlement on your record."
Sounds like a judge has too much time on his hands.
I'm not sure that, you know, what is she trying to do with the legal thing? I'm not.
I think she's trying to go for emotional distress, and
So
she's
you
going
guys
to
against
say,
think
who?
all those years she
Yeah.
didn't know anything that was going on.
I'm with
All
you.
those years that they weren't knocking on her door. I mean, now we got, you know, social media and emails and different things like
A
that.
civil,
they
no,
didn't
of
send
course,
out
no way.
anything.
No way.
They didn't send anything out.
If she moved, if she was living with her boyfriend and she moved away from there, and they would send literally one notice out or whatever. They're not going to keep sending a notice. And then I'm not saying she's innocent. I don't know. I haven't
I
talked to
kind
her.
of know what you're talking about, because it stated that she went to the DMV. That's how she found out, because of a change of name. But we all got to get our tabs. We all got to, you know, there's other things that we do need to do. So I am kind of surprised she didn't find out sooner, but I don't know.
And if she was losing that many job opportunities,
Yeah,
I would
why-
maybe start asking, why didn't I get the job?
Right.
Can you help fill me in so I can
Right.
educate
Right.
myself?
I agree.
you
I
know?
don't think she
Maybe.
has
I'm
anything
hung up.
to
I'm
stand
sorry on the whole money. I'm sorry. I'm hung up on the whole, like, okay, now she got charged with something, but now she's going to try to go back and sue, kind of thing.
But who's she going after? That's my question. It doesn't say.
Right. Well, obviously, yeah, the store is closed.
I don't
So
know.
what? Sue the government for charging her and arresting her because she's been embarrassed?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel, you know, with all due respect, I just find that sometimes with these articles that it just seems like anybody out there is just trying to find something to sue somebody for.
be
And
a
by the way, here's
victim.
my thing. Who has the time for that? Who has the time
Yes,
to
yes,
invest in that? I
amen.
mean, that's a long, I don't know. That's all I'm saying is, like, pick your battles, man. Pick your battles.
Amen.
Jackie agrees.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. See.
So thankful for Netflix. Don't have to leave home anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
But then do you remember the
Right?
Netflix where you had to mail them?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how it started.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd mail. That was the
How old
best thing
are
for
you,
me
Matt?
ever.
Right.
I'm old.
Yeah.
Atari
Matt,
old.
you ask Lisa how old she is. Let's ask you, and then let's ask you for your
Sega.
vaccine ID.
Sega Atari.
I'm just kidding.
Ask you for your vaccine ID.
I think it's right on my Facebook how old I am, so I have to go dig
It's
in.
a joke.
Oh, too
Old
funny.
enough to own a boat in the mid 90s.
So that's really, that one's interesting to me, because what happens if that title didn't get transferred, and God forbid there would have been a horrible
Be
accident, or somebody would have
responsible.
killed or something out on the
It-
water.
And nowadays you have that little thing in the
Yes,
corner
like 7
that
days.
no, you have that little thing in the corner of your title that you rip off if you sell it.
Yeah.
And so you have that to send in and say, hey, I sold this,
Oh, okay.
or however that, I can't remember. It's been a
Okay.
while
Yeah.
since I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have a corner of the title that you then tell the state that you sold it. That didn't exist back then.
Okay. Okay.
Now,
That's why you went with the person down to the DMV and signed it right in front of them. That's what I did. Sorry. I didn't steal VHSs or have people sign for their VHSs either. So I don't know. I guess I'm just a little different.
we know you're a little different.
Yeah.
And that's why we love you.
Exactly.
Be kind. Rewind.
Oh boy.
You were platinum
Good
member of
times.
Blockbuster, weren't you?
Well-
I loved Blockbuster back in the day. That was like, those were the good days, right? You went out, picked 2 to 4 movies, got your junk food, and that was a really good night. I miss things like that.
There was no VHS and chill though.
I grew up in Iowa.
Yeah.
We didn't. we had
There was no
pigs.
chill.
They
because
just
you
got
had
cell
to get up
phones.
and actually
Quick
push
start.
buttons. And, yeah.
Iowa just got cell phones, I heard.
come and go stations. You know. No, that is against it. No.
Let's read the
It's a
comments.
gas station.
We have
I know.
we have a
That's
few
what it is.
we have a few comments here that we can read.
I want to know about the ones you can't read.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that we just have them, so we can read them.
Who's feeling bold and brave today?
All right. So this comment says, "Science says no way unless you want to be modified genetically?" ? So clearly talking about the vaccine. I'm not sure if this person is saying that. What is? I guess I'm not quite sure how to comment on this comment, but I think it's tongue in cheek, isn't it? How would you take this comment? Science says no way! ! Unless you want to be modified genetically. I think that's a rumor. I don't know if there's any fact.
They're
in it.
joking
Because
that
the
the people that
mRNA.
don't take it
It's an
think that-
RM. How
MDNRA.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because that's what's
MDNRA,
in the vaccine. Yeah.
Yeah. So there obviously I don't think there's any significant science behind it, but it's potentially saying that they can.
Could you imagine if some good things came out of it? Side effects. We always talk about the Navy, like I can
What's that?
speak Spanish. I mean, you hear people like
That's
coming out of
true, yeah,
surgeries
right.
and stuff when they've had certain surgeries, brain surgeries, and they'll come out
They-
having an English accent
yeah,
or
they-
They've
something.
just never had a
They speak
vaccine where
Mandarin
they've
fluently.
altered the DNA. to
It's
produce
never
it,
been
right?
a DNA type vaccine. Yes.
There's never been one.
yes.
Do some
yes.
Aikido dance fighting. I don't know. You just have some random like skills afterwards.
Well, most vaccinations, there are side effects, or there are. I mean, Viagra. You know, that was not intended.
For
It's
hours
not a
later.
vaccination,
It's
but
not a vaccination, but I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying?
4 hours later.
What are you looking at me for? I'm not that old.
get you an injection. But
Right? There are side
I'm
effects.
45.
Oh
I
my
didn't even
gosh.
bring up that.
Oh.
I'm 45.
There are side effects. That wasn't like it was intended and made. That
That's
was a
right.
side effect
There is side
of a
effects.
vaccine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Of a
yeah, for 4 hours.
And if you
yes.
still have them after
Viagra.
4 hours,
Viagra
you're a
is a
professional.
Viagra came about
Oh, you're being serious, Lisa.
I
did
am
not
being
know that.
very serious. Where did that?
as a side effect of a different
Thank you.
medication. Yes,
Right.
that was discovered as a side effect.
was an
Right.
Yes.
It wasn't a vaccination. It was yes.
It was a medication
Yes.
that created an excitement in
Mhm.
males.
So, like Harmony
And-
was saying, is there something that from the COVID vaccination that we
Oh, I
haven't
see where you're
determined
going.
yet? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
being very serious.
And this is exactly the why
Kickstand.
science says to test it against each other for a long period of time and have a
Viagra?
bunch. I don't need to test it.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy.
We're back to-
feel like we just went
No.
down a
Oh,
rabbit
we're
hole.
getting off the rails.
How old are you, Matt?
I've said it. I've already said it. I'm 45.
Oh my gosh.
Years young.
Sorry, and just
So anyway, the idea that the vaccinations, the science over our lifetimes has always taken a long time to discover, right? And a lot of different scientists to do sciencey things to discover what happens. Okay. Now they rush this vaccination out. That is where I think is the big issue. And that's what we're talking about. But this comment is, but anyway, and then this next comment is, says that is kind of a lazy way to parent. So, yeah,
That's an interesting comment. It came out after you were talking about letting your son decide at 16 if he wanted to do the vaccine.
Oh,
or
yeah?
not.
yeah.
It's a lazy way of parenting, was her comment.
I'm not going to say if it was a guy or a girl.
Oh, no,
but
it's okay. That's fine. And, that's what I love about, honestly, that, it's their opinion, their perspective, and that's what makes this world a wonderful place.
And let me say this to that. My youngest is 21, and we had a lengthy conversation today about a decision that he needs to make. And, I said, here's what I would do based off of my experience right now in my life. And giving someone your age advice would be based off of that experience. But I said, you also have to take in effect, when I was your age, I was very different than you, right? He's very different than I am. And I mean, and this had to do with mechanical things, right? A car and some decisions that need to be made. And I said, well, I would do this, 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 and this, because I'm very mechanical. I'm very hands-on, and I've painted a car. I've changed motors and trannies and clutches and all that kind of stuff. So I get it. I know how to do it. It's hard work, but that's not his style. He does, things very differently than I do, and is more knowledgeable on things than I was at that age. So I get it. So I said, I can only give you this advice based off of my experience. You have to make the decision. And so the reason I say that, at what age do we do that?
Right.
I know parents of 21-year-olds that are saying, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And I know parents,
Right.
There's parents that
So-
let their 6-year-olds make pretty big decisions.
Yes.
And it's like,
and so
that's not parenting either.
when you look at, why do kids grow? So that we can release them a little bit at a time to make decisions.
Right.
I say, when they're 3 years old, you need to tell them that the oven is hot. But they might need to experience a little bit of heat at 4 years old, not on the oven, not on purpose, but to understand the concept of what that is, what damage that can do. So at different ages, you have to allow them to make different decisions and then be their cheerleader.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I would just say, as far as lazy parenting, when I hear that, what I get out of that is not communicating with your child, not talking about the important issues. So I guess I would want more clarification on that of lazy parenting, because I think that, in my personal opinion and in my family, we've done all the right things. My child's well educated. He's doing distance learning for a reason. So he is fully aware of COVID. We talk about the news. He has a phone. He is fully educated with the articles and things. He's a very mature 16-year-old, and I feel confident that he can make that decision. So lazy parenting, I don't think so, but that's okay.
So this is a few comments down, but let's talk about this one because it's about COVID vaccines. So this person came in later. We talked about that at the beginning of the show and more opinions, but this comment it's a question. What is your view on the COVID vaccines? And that's what we've been talking about. At what we did talk about at the beginning. Anybody want to do a quick answer on that?
I still have questions. That's my view on it.
Yeah.
I still have questions. I think that's obvious. I've been very vocal about how I've had the first one, but I haven't had the second one. Why? Because I still have questions. I'm not the only one out there. There's a majority out there of people that feel the same way. And I will not be
57%.
pressured nor shamed into doing something that I don't want to do. And I will stand my ground on that.
And I say, go watch the first segment. That's pretty good. That would be one thing. But I'll say this: ask your doctor. My doctor says there's zero reason for me to get it because I'm not that old. I'm only 45. Say it again. And I'm decently healthy. I mean, and what I mean is I don't have any weird like underlying conditions that I know of. So there's no reason for me, if I got COVID, there's no reason for me to be concerned. It's probably not life threatening. So there's no reason to get the vaccine. So that's my answer. Anyone else? Next comment. This comment is, I believe that U.S. law requires that ships registered domestically must also have been built in this country. That's interesting.
Hmm.
See, I'm learning something new. I didn't
hear
I
that.
would disagree with that because I think most ships are only made in a few countries, and most ships are only they're under a flag of very few, typically islands. Like, not saying it would be this one, but islands that have low tax amounts or no tax amounts, like the Cayman Islands or something. And that's not one of them. I can't think of what they are. I watch some weird sailing shows, but they're usually, in my understanding, my experiences, they're not flagged under where they're built.
Okay.
You look at a lot of
it'd be interesting to look
personal
into.
yachts,
Maybe
like-
that could be a story next week.
like mega yachts.
I
I'm
think
on
there's
it.
more. Yeah,
I'm on
work
it.
on it because
I
you're a
like
big
that.
cruiser.
like most mega or
Get the
like
ship.
personal private mega yachts are made in not Donald Trump yachts, but like large, not mega like Make America Great yachts, but they're made in Italy and Belgium and Germany and a few other countries, but very few are flagged under those
Interesting.
countries. It's all
That's-
about taxes.
Let's talk about that next. Seriously, I'd like to talk about. Will you look
I'm
at?
up. I'm there.
All right.
I already got my article.
She's
in.
on board.
Yeah,
Sorry.
let's do that because that'd be really interesting. Next comment. We all the same color inside. It's very true.
That's
I think
right. We're all stinky and pink. Sorry. I just, you knew
Literally
it.
hog start laugh on that
Throw
one.
a zinger in there, guys. Sorry.
Woo!
Well, okay, so I grew up in Rochester, and
Now
I've
So
I'm
seen-
so there's a
I'm gonna
I'm
sidetrack.
gonna deflect this right now, and
Yeah.
there's a song that we all bleed the same. So I
like
suppose
that
that could be
That's a
taken
good one.
weird.
There is a gal in Rochester School District, and I'm sorry I don't remember her name, and she's very well known to anybody that has been in Rochester schools in the 80s or 90s, and she was the melanin lady. And she came in with a white spoon, a tan spoon, and a dark brown spoon, and she talked to every student at RPS that I knew of about the spoons are it's all about melanin in our skin, and that's the only difference between all of us.
Mhm.
And I think her first name is Jackie. I can't recall her last name. I could find it, but is stuff like that still being done? She got the point across. She didn't complicate it. It was
Yeah.
in elementary school, multiple different grades. I remember her coming back year to year. Simple. She kept it simple.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I think that's
Anyway,
making it more simple is definitely the way to go.
she didn't talk about stinky either. Just
You guys don't even get me started. I'm in the medical field, so I'll talk about fluids, orifices, and everything. It's just true.
So the next comment is, I arrested people for warrants for not returning movies. Wow, really? From a rental store. Also had to arrest a truck driver for overdue library books.
Wow.
I was surprised the amount was only $23.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
wow.
So I don't know what to say about that.
Did you see that
I-
one
I-
down at the where it says for not returning? I laughed at this. The VHS tape of Freddy Got Fingered. I haven't seen that movie in forever, and just the name always makes me
That-
laugh.
I
so
know that was
there
funny.
you go with that. Tom Green, if I remember
Tom
correctly, was
Green,
in that one.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Tom Green is Crazy.
He's
Have you seen what he's doing now?
Well, the moment that he started sucking on that udder, that cow's udder,
Right.
I was gone. I was like, that is just
Oh,
different.
weird.
Shot comedy back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And he was married to
king
Drew
too.
Barrymore,
Right,
so-
he was king
He
too.
kicked his coverage.
yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that for like 13 and a half minutes or
Yeah.
something? That wasn't
Yeah, I
very
think they're
long.
still pretty good friends, but
Next comment. I love this. Hey, thank you. That's great. Appreciate that.
I don't see that one.
That's
because it's
Yeah.
not meant for you,
It's on
Martha
mine.
May. No,
Um,
I'm joking.
and then this one says, have you guys noticed the people on the road speeding everywhere? What are you guys' thoughts about it? Also, all the people from different states in Minnesota, is there some mass exodus to Minnesota? Do you
Oh,
mean
they're all
from
here
Minnesota? There is a mass exodus. Maybe not a mass exodus. We know there's numbers for California. There's a mass exodus. I talk to people all the time that are leaving California. We do also know that a lot of people are leaving Minnesota. Yes. I literally had a conversation Wednesday with someone about it, and they are, I guess I won't say what they do, but they said that there's a lot of people that are leaving Minnesota. So mass exodus, I don't know, but anyway, the speeding thing, yes. So I am involved in a lot of pre-COVID, I should say. I am involved in and I'm very aware of the, let's just put it, the death tolls in our state of Minnesota specifically, and in the country generally. It's up everywhere. Deaths on the roads are up everywhere. Speeding is up everywhere. Boy, what I think about it is I get back to that education piece, and I've talked about it for years. We need to educate more. Everybody needs to be educated more on it, I guess is really what I believe. And I want to say I'm really working hard. Pre-COVID, we kind of had it lined up with influential person, I'll say. I don't think it's going to happen now that COVID has happened, but I still want to do it. I did a lot of research for an entire year, my own personal research, and I want to talk about that with somebody like from the Department of Public Safety or whatever. So I'm still working on that. Hopefully once things are a little bit less COVID-y for people in the
Urban
public.
Dictionary word, COVID-y.
Exactly.
I have an observation on the speeding.
Yeah.
There are less law enforcement out there. Therefore, more people are speeding.
Or how
You know,
about maybe people are
that's-
just in a friggin' hurry? Because I've been doing a lot of commuting and stuff, whether it's on the highway, interstate, and people are just in a hurry.
So
There
therefore,
was less
if they're
traffic on the road,
speeding
so it's
and
easier
there
to
are
speed.
less law enforcement. If the law enforcement are more out there and visual, then it's kind of a deterrent to speed. So, just kind of looking on the flip side of things.
Yeah.
There
You know,
there was
there's
there
less.
was a that's an interesting question. I looked at that a little bit a few months ago, and maybe it's different now, but no, there weren't. So let me put it like this. Police officers in general are resigning and retiring all over the country, like Seattle 200 last year, Minneapolis 150.
Right.
Some of these bigger cities that have a lot of problems. Some of their laws, their DAs are letting people go and all this kind of stuff. Police officers are just retiring early and quitting. So that statistic we know is true, but they're generally not the ones out on the roads. So state patrol or state troopers or whatever you'd want to call it, that would be who would be the deterrents on the roads in a lot of the speeding issues. And I don't believe when I looked last that those numbers have changed. So I don't think that's true. And I'm not saying you said it was true,
Right.
but it was a question.
As an observation.
So,
like,
right.
A question.
I don't think that's accurate. Like, I don't think that's a statistically proven thing or accurate, because I just don't see the state trooper numbers quitting and resigning early or whatever.
Well, I could follow up on you with that.
Well, let's look at it. Serious, yeah. But so on the roadways and what they're talking about for this kind of thing and speeding would literally be state patrol, state troopers.
Right. But also, the sheriff's department was told not to necessarily apprehend, because of COVID, apprehend a lot of people, because unless it was a different violation compared to because of COVID, that they didn't have room at the jails and different things like that. So does that have any kind of effect on people? Does that have any kind of effect on people speeding?
You think they're like, I'm out of here. You're not going to get me.
Or they're prioritizing other
I don't
issues
know.
instead of speeding.
Right.
So
Good.
yeah, I don't know. That's my
I have to be like
just
right on this microphone.
just turn the mic. No,
Oh.
I told
Oh.
I told somebody that we literally might have to put the mic in your hand because you move so much.
I know I'm a mover and a shaker. You guys know that.
And she gets
Places
start
to go,
singing.
people to see you, things to
So
do.
we might
being
just
on
have to.
stage. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
But with 5 mics in the room, we have to have these directional mics, so you have to really be close. So that's just people want to hear you. That's
I
all I'm
appreciate
saying.
that. Thank you.
So yeah. Anybody else on that? You ready for this last one? This is the last one. It says, actually, this isn't the last one. We'll do the second. I'll do the text that I was. This is the second to the last one. Ooh, more hot buttons. It's true. We talk about some hot buttons.
Mm-hmm. We like pushing them too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I got a text. My shirt. Let me see if I can get it in the camera. It says "shiny." I am shiny. The text that I got. I don't know why he doesn't want to do it. I know why he doesn't want to do it on the general comments, but it is not a bad word. Shiny is not a bad word. It's a very good word. It's a, I'm a grandpa, a 45-year-old grandpa. I gotta throw the age in there for you again, Martha May. And so I get to do corny things, and I have this corny acronym that I came up with in like 2014, I believe it was, or 2013, early on in my speaking career, I guess. And it stands for strong, hope, influential, necessary, you. And so it says, I am shiny. So I am strong, I am hope, I am influential, I am necessary, and I am you. And so the specific text that he sent me was, because he knows what my acronym is. He's like, what does I am you mean? And so I am you is that we're all connected. We affect each other. I am the same as you in the way that we all die. We all grieve. We all have challenges. I am the same as you, and we all bleed the same. And that's what the I am you is for. So that's what it is. And with that, thanks for your support, everybody. Thanks for hammering the like button, the share button, the comments. We appreciate it. And of course, we have to end with my corny video. See y'all next week. Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button. Go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it.